So then, a video which I've been quite excited about making for a while now because it is my favourite season for theme parks, and in this video we'll be going through the Alton Towers Scarefest lineup for 2024, which is a very exciting thing to say. I've been waiting for this spooky season really to roll around for a while now, and it is getting ever so much that a little bit closer really, isn't it? We're closing on the final few weeks, and now we're on the slog through September on our way into October with events like Halloween Horror Nights out in Florida already beginning. So then, first up we've got things like burial grounds returning to the park, very good to see. A scare zone, it's something free. I always say about the pricing, I don't agree paying for a scare maze, given that a few years back you wouldn't have to. Now it seems a bit of a disappointment to have to. Now that's a subject I'm not going to get into yet because I do mention that later in the video in terms of the pricing for this event. But yeah, with burial grounds being free and included with your essentially admission ticket, very good to see, and it was actually very good fun last year for Scarefest, so looking forward to getting back in that and hoping we see some little improvements this year and seeing what it looks like when we get to go in it. And as well as that, we have CBeebies Land Monster Ball returns. I've heard from people who do have kids in that and go that it's very good, so great to see that, offering stuff for the families, because obviously Scarefest does have to market to the whole family. It's great to see them capitalising on that part of it as well. And then we'll go on to the actual mazes. And in the family mazes, we have got the return of Trick or Treat Town, which is something which I think is good to see. So it's basically just a maze in an actor-based immersive experience, which is very much a family attraction. Of course, it's themed to trick or treating. Very good fun, taking my sister in there quite a few times. I do hope this year they're really going to push up with the amount of sweets they give you as well, because for the amount of money it costs in previous years, it's been a bit of a thing of you would expect a bit more. It is an attraction which I can understand them bringing back. It is very much loved by families that attend the event, and a lot of people that I know love going through this every year with their kids. So it is a very good thing to see them bring this back, even though it is a returning attraction from previous years. And then after that, a new family attraction which we've got for this year, which is great to see, is Amigos in the Afterlife, which is taking place in the Dungeons building from my understanding, which is very exciting to see. And I made videos saying for Scarefest it'd be nice to see something using that boat ride. I'm unaware of any information on that part being released. It may have been and I may have not known. I'm hoping it does, because I think that could really help, especially a family attraction. You can utilise that boat ride, and although the theme from the advert we've seen for this attraction looks a little bit corny and cheesy, I also get the factor of A, it's a family attraction, you don't want it to be too much, and B, it's kind of, I think, going to go down that quirky theme, and we might actually see this executed quite well. I'm not going to slate it until I've done it because, as I always say, form your own opinions once you've experienced it. It's themed to the Day of the Dead celebration, so I'm pretty sure it's from like Mexico and like Latin America, isn't it? Very cool thing to see an attraction themed to, especially if they execute it properly, which I'm praying they do. And please use that boat ride. Imagine that. You could have it actually utilise the experience and have storytelling elements going around that boat ride. I know it's a big ask, but I'd love to see it, wouldn't you? So after that, we're done with the family mazes, and we'll go on to the main attraction really for Scarefest for a lot of people, and it's the higher intensity mazes of the event. So first up, we'll go through the returning ones, and in returning mazes, we have the attic returning again. I'm not really going to go there because I wasn't a massive fan of the attic last year. They made a few improvements, but it is returning quite a lot. I've mentioned it in many videos, the attic, and my opinion hasn't really changed, and neither has the experience for quite a few years. But again, not done it this year, might be completely different, so it's always worth giving it a look, and I'll see what it's like. And as well as that, we've got the return of Altonville Mine Tours Tiny's Revenge, which obviously Altonville Mine Tours being a maze at the park for quite a few years, and then they revamped it for last year's Scarefest and added the Tiny's Revenge part where they added a few little details. I think it was cheerleaders and everything, and they also did change the way you went through the attraction. But I'm hoping this year again we'll see some new changes to it, like I am with all the mazes. It's a really nice thing to see things change within these mazes, and it's something which so far this season, in terms of little things around the park, has been happening. We'll see like little subtle changes in theming or little subtle things being done. But yeah, those two are mazes that are returning, so are going to be very similar to every other year you've done them. As well as that, something which is returning, but I think is going to be different, at least as it describes it being like this from the name, is the return of Daz Games Panic Reloaded this time. It's called Daz Games Panic Reloaded. And last year, I have to say, I was actually quite a big fan of this attraction. Essentially, this was a sort of different take on a scare attraction. It was more, you get given a wristband and get given symbols that you need to find within the attraction. You go in there, you're timed, and you have to find your symbols. Tap the wristband against both. Once you've got them, you can get out of the attraction, basically. Within it, it's not just that simple. You've got like strobe lights, actors, and it's trying to mess with you a little bit, and it's quite good fun. The only downside to this last year was, I think, the putting in the system for these wristbands was clearly quite costly, very imaginably and understandably really. So I think that was what a heavy portion of the budget went on, which meant that unfortunately in terms of theming, it didn't really have any. It was basically like fencing, that mesh fencing and strobe lights. So I'm hoping this year, given that they've already got the hardware for it, essentially, that is at least if they're going to follow the same dynamic as the attraction had last year, reuse that hardware, you've already got that there, and hopefully have a little bit more money if they're able to get some funding for it to put it into this attraction's theming, because you could have something quite cool. I think an undertone would work, because essentially last year it was they were generating the area that you're going into. You could have a very cool theme integrated with that. Say you're going into like a castle or something sci-fi, something that could work theme-wise would be really cool to see in this attraction, and I think it would actually push it even higher in terms of my opinion of this attraction, because all I think it really needs is some decent theming, and I think it will be away with itself really and could be really good for the event. And another good thing about the Daz Games Panic this year is it is included in the Maze combi ticket for the Frights, and I think it might be the Spooks and Frights one. It's included in the combi, which it wasn't last year. Great to see. And then the most exciting announcement we've had for this year's Scarefest, all new for 2024, the Compound, which, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware, it's located in that maze building which is being constructed next to the Curse Alton Manor. We all were very convinced for quite a while that it's going to be a maze theme to the Curse Alton Manor, which although was something I was leaning towards, having a maze theme towards the Phalanx, which is what this maze is themed towards, still pretty good, and I guess it's something the park's going to want to capitalise on, given that this year was the year Reborn opened. You want to, I think the phrase is strike the iron while it's hot, really. It's fresh in people's minds. Make a maze themed around it this year. And this maze, from what I can gather from the trailer, I've just scanned through it while making this video, some notes, and you were essentially taken into the Phalanx Test Facility Compound, I think it's called, as they believe you are associated with the anarchist group Seek the Truth, as obviously seen in Forbidden Valley. They go around protesting. They see you as associated with them. You get taken into this test facility, I think it's called, and you are a test subject of them. You become something of the Phalanx that they are using as a test subject. But while you're here in this test facility, as you can see from the adverts, things go wrong. There's like a breakout of some kind, and it all seems to go a little bit haywire. In this trailer for this attraction, it did mention the Nemesis younglings being stored there, I think they were called, which is what I'm guessing is going to be causing the problem. But I think this will be a good fun attraction actually. But this is an attraction which I'm very, very interested to see, because from the advert, a lot of people pointed out they were wearing handcuffs as they were being escorted through the attraction, which is something which could possibly be in this attraction. We don't know, it might have just been to add the part of the advert, given that they're being taken into the facility. They're sort of imprisoned there really, aren't they? That may have been what it is, but there is a possibility for this attraction. You might have your hands in like some makeshift like Phalanx handcuffs and you've got to be taken around. Could be possible. The other point I wanted to highlight in this is the main actor in this advert was alone for all of it, which does that mean that it'll be like survival games at Thorpe Park where you are separated from your group and sent in alone? Because as we know, the building for this maze is exterior wise is the same as survival games at Thorpe Park, because we already kind of know that the park is going to market this as the most intense maze of the event this year. Could we see this be one where you're split up on your own? They could try and make it the sort of same as the infamous things where we've had subspecies at the park, and they're going back to the Nemesis theme, so maybe that's what they want to capitalise on again. The only bit that makes me worried about what it would be if it was is it says on the maze description, I think it's like recommended for ages 12 plus, which maybe not then in terms of being by yourself and being with the handcuffs. And the other thing is, if they went down the route of survival games, the actors are quite hands-on. If you've not got the use of your hands and they're hands-on and you fall, I don't know where that comes from a health and safety point of view. So that might be something they choose not to do. But the point I want to make is I don't really know what we're going to see in this attraction, because not many people do. So it could be you are alone and you do have these handcuffs on being escorted around, or it could be neither. But this is one which, I'll be honest, I am incredibly excited to experience, because it does look very good. I'll be honest, it is something which I'm very excited to experience in person. So then, onto the pricing of this year's event. There are 4 different options essentially in terms of pricing for the maze tickets this year. I know you can buy admission and mazes. I'm more looking from a pass holder's point of view of what you would pay just to get maze entry. And you can pay the Frights combi, which is essentially the more intense scare attraction, which was essentially not Amigos in the Afterlife and Trick or Treat Town, so those won't be included in the Frights package. But yeah, in the Frights combi, without an annual pass or Merlin pass, it is £34 or with a Merlin pass or Alton Towers annual pass, it is £27.20 for, what is it, 4 attractions. It's not terrible, but it's quite costly. Again, I've never agreed with paying for mazes, so I'm not really going to give my point of view on, but it is going to cost you to go in these mazes. That is something to bear in mind. For the Spooks duo, so if you're going with your family, you just want to do the Trick or Treat Town or Amigos in the Afterlife, it is £15 without a annual pass, or £12 with an annual pass. But for the Spooks and Frights combi ticket, which is essentially everything that I've just said in terms of the attractions, it will set you back £50 if you're not a pass holder and £40 if you are, which, again, I know it includes a lot, but when you think on top of your ticket, if you're not a pass holder, you've got an expensive park ticket and then 50 quid on top of that, that's a big chunk. Like if you're going in a group of 4, that's 200 quid between you all. That's quite a lot, but again, I get it. They need funding for these events. I think COVID and especially everything has really set theme parks back a little bit. And if paying for these means that Alton Towers is able to put more money into them, fair enough. But that's one thing I want to make a point of. It would be great to have a system really by the parks of like, everything you pay for a maze goes into a fund which is put into future developments for mazes. It would be quite cool to see that, but I understand that's not necessarily realistic, and it's the rambling of somebody who doesn't really know anything from a management point of view. After that, we do have something quite cool and interesting for this year's Scarefest, which is the Unlimited Frights Pass, which essentially, if you're a pass holder, which is the only people this is available for, and you can go to the event multiple times a year because you can just book and go because it's on your pass, you can spend £120, which is a hefty chunk of money, but essentially for the entirety of Scarefest. For the people who go to Scarefest a lot while the event's going on, it might make sense for some people. For me, no way. It's a lot of money. I'll probably only attend it once or twice this year, so it doesn't work for me, but for some people that might actually be a cheaper way of doing it. And that essentially brings me on to the overall part of this video in terms of what do I think of Scarefest this year, because I'm sure a lot of you'll be aware I've made quite a few videos this year saying how excited I am for Scarefest, how I was predicting it would be the best year we've had in years at Scarefest and it would be incredible. And to be brutally honest with you all, I know I've seen a lot of negativity online from a lot of people about it, and some people being incredibly positive and bits in between, and I am, as usual, unfortunately, kind of in the middle. I'm not going to agree with people who are slating it constantly, because we have seen new investments. And even if you look back to like last year's Scarefest, this is a vast improvement for the event, and we haven't even been yet. That's the thing. When you're at the event, you don't know what it's going to be like. We could see all of these things we've had added to the event incredibly thought over and polished and really working as they should be for this event, and it might be incredible. But I do agree with people in terms of like we were told it was going to be the best year Scarefest has had in years and it will be incredible. I'm not necessarily feeling that as of yet. Now again, that's my opinion on it, form your own. It isn't the year I was expecting for Scarefest, and I don't think it's going to be as insane as I was making out in previous videos, but I'm excited to see what it is like, so I'd love to know what you think. You could agree with me, you could disagree with me. I'd love to know what you think on it, because that's the one point I said I love doing in these videos, is sharing my opinions and hearing other people's thoughts. It's the one bit that I love, is going through the comments and having great conversations with you all. It is really great to do, so please do let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please do like and subscribe. It really does help this channel out and really does make the world of difference, and I'll see you all in the next one.